Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome back. It's Mia, and today we are discussing She-Hulk episode 8. And again, sorry I haven't been covering, recently like every single episode. It's just been one of those where it's kind of like, last week she went on a retreat. Not that much to discuss. I mean, and towards the end there was, but I thought maybe skipping every other episode would work. And this one, episode 8, there is plenty to talk about in this episode. There's so many reasons to love it. I hope everyone is at least finally on board now that we've got Daredevil, am I right? The funny thing is, I honestly, I was excited for Daredevil to show up, but I mean, considering we got him in No Way Home and he's gonna be an Echo series and his own series, I was like, I really don't care when he shows up or for how long, I'm just happy to see him no matter what, because it's the She-Hulk show. But I will say I'm pleasantly surprised at how he was introduced in this episode. And surprisingly, I totally blanked. I did not realize that this is the penultimate episode, episode 8. There's only 9 episodes. I'm kind of on House of the Dragon time, which has 10 episodes. So I guess I was assuming that there'd be 10 or that She-Hulk would just go on forever, which I wouldn't really mind. But yeah, let's dive into this week's episode, and we'll get into 7 as well. So our last chat for She-Hulk, I was wondering okay, let's start theorizing how Matt Murdock is gonna get into this. And I did say that, more than likely they would be joined together by some case. I don't know why I didn't think that, or at least why it didn't occur to me that the Taylor Luke would have something to do with it. I mean, clearly he showed off his Daredevil helmet, right? We saw that in one of the previous episodes. And so I'm like, how did that get over me? I was like, how can we relate Daredevil to She-Hulk? Clearly having Luke be in the case, as we know what happened in the episode with that She-Hulk had a client who had some faulty, superhero suit built by Luke. And of course, Luke was being represented by Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, and ends up being the client that Jen was representing was pretty much a bad guy anyway. So anyway, that's how they meet. And the biggest thing I will say that did not even dawn on me next to them, having to have a suit revolve around Luke, is that they would have a romance. That just did not occur to me whatsoever. First, I want to roll it back to episode 7 because there was this whole thing with Josh. So Jen met him in episode 6, right at the wedding, and then they go and they hook up, and then we find out in episode 7 that he ends up ghosting her. And the whole time I was thinking, it's really hot here. The whole time I was thinking oh my gosh, I was really hoping that the reason he was ghosting her was because something happened to him. Maybe, I don't know, Hulk King grabbed him in the middle of the night or something, or he was going home and the Hulk King grabbed him, and maybe he was being held for collateral or something like that, just so that Jen can go out and save him. But the whole idea, or basically for me, I was I just wanted, we all want her to have a happy ending, or I want a happy ending. So I was please, the one guy that liked Jen for Jen, I just didn't want him to end up being a bad guy. And that's what ended up happening. And so I was kind of big mad at this show just because I wanted, like I said, Jen to have a happy ending and for her to finally have a nice guy. And so yeah, we end up seeing that he is at least one of the bad guys. I don't think he is the bad guy, because we saw that he at the end of episode 7 ended up copying data from her phone. He took a picture of her while she was sleeping, which is very creepy. And then he sent a text message to the Hulk King with some emojis, basically insinuating that it seems like he got a sample of her blood. So like I said, I was kind of mad at the series for doing that, because I was like, can't you just find love? But wait, it gets even better, because as I mentioned, of course, they begin to slip Matt Murdock in as a love interest for her. Well, it just gets full blown by the end. It was really when God closes one door, he opens up a whole mansion. So I am thoroughly satisfied. Like I said, I was not expecting Daredevil to be the love interest for Jen Walters. For me, that was the entire let's go. That was the Disney Prince moment. That's what did it for me. I know maybe for others it's just getting to see Daredevil fight, or getting to just see him be there, but I'm here for the Disney romance, guys. This is Disney Plus for a reason. Needless to say, I'm no longer mad at the show. In fact, greatest show on Disney Plus for Marvel ever. Don't tell the Loki series I said that. But yeah, it was interesting. I was thinking about Daredevil's love life too, because like I said, I've watched like nothing from the Daredevil show, but I was like, wasn't Rosario Dawson one of his love interests? Then my brother told me she was also love interest of Luke Cage. But then I was like, but didn't Luke Cage also like Jessica Jones? So it's just, I see why Matt Murdock had to get out of New York. Everyone is just hooking up with each other, and you know, sometimes you just need a breath of fresh air. Where's this going? Anyway, if this is the last that we saw of Daredevil, I think it was worth it. You know, some people were like, oh, he's only gonna be in there for like 30 seconds and the show's just gonna throw him in the trash. I think they had Daredevil perfect in this episode. He was pretty much kind of like the co-star, like the second man in this entire episode. I really, really liked how they used him. And it seemed like even his combat, like of the little that I did see from the Netflix series, listen, that was like a shoestring budget compared to all the flips and jumps and things he was doing in this. So it was really awesome to see his combat up, and him and Jin had just such a wonderful dialogue. They had such a wonderful flow. It was all so natural. So I'm like, they handled him perfectly. And I definitely want more of this from Daredevil. It also makes me wonder like if Jin will end up crossing over into Daredevil series, because I just need more of them, I'm sorry. So then the next big thing to address in this episode is who is the Hulk King? What's their motive? You know, what's this whole thing about? And so we do know for some reason this Hulk King is trying to get Jin's blood, presumably to become a Hulk themselves. Even though we've discussed previously that it is probably highly unlikely that they will not themselves transform into a Hulk. They might become an Abomination, which is close to a Hulk now. Or unless it's Jin's another family member of hers, it might not be a success. And they've also been running this smear campaign against Jin on the internet, on the MCU's version of some quasi sort of Reddit 4chan forum. And so yeah, this whole time I've just been kind of wondering, okay, what's the point and what's the motive behind this person? Now, let's be honest. If it's your typical 4chan Reddit basement dweller hybrid, there is no reason. You know, I usually don't like to be mean on this channel, but some people like to be mean for no reason. We've seen this countless times before on the internet. We've seen the response to Lord of the Rings. We've seen the response to The Little Mermaid. You know, it just like yelling into the void, and usually it happens to be at the expense of, you know, women or people of color, or any sort of minority group. So usually it's just yelling into the void. So if it's anything, this person just might not like Jin because she is Jin. And so I will digress there, but I do think that it's funny that in a way this show is one step ahead, kind of knowing what the backlash is or has been in this whole kind of space of, you know, MCU and stuff like that. It's just so funny to me because it is brilliant. Like, they literally just held up the mirror and been like, and now we're making 4chan the bad guy. Or, you know, I'm not saying everyone on 4chan is bad. I'm not saying everyone on Reddit is bad. I'm on Reddit. There's, you know, we're talking about a specific type of person. So I think it's funny just to kind of make them literally the bad guy in this series. It's just beautiful. It's a poetic justice, if I must say. So really, yeah, I'm not sure who the Hulk King could be. At first, I thought Tatiana might have been behind this, but I was like, nah, it doesn't really seem like her kind of bag. It might just be some rando online or a group of people online who have kind of just got together and decided to hate Jin just because. Or I think it would be a little more satisfying if it was someone that we knew, just so that if it were to become a twist, like, oh, I didn't know it was him. Why would they hate Jin? Like Todd? Ugh. Isn't that the guy, you know, who just bought like $1 million Wakandan spear online? You know, he seems like the kind of guy to do that. If it's not though, at the end, I do apologize to Todd. What a great guy, maybe. So then another thing that stuck out to me is that now Jin has to prove, after the whole fiasco at the gala where she smashed the screens, she kind of has to prove that she's not this giant rage monster. And it's like, to be fair, what was she supposed to do? You're just gonna let people see her hook up with some guy in front of her parents and all of her esteemed colleagues? That, you know, like, what else was her reaction supposed to be? But I do think that because she got a little more angry than usual. And, you know, a lot of people still aren't familiar with Jen Walters and her powers. I mean, they've had 10 or so years of the Hulk, and they know that he's a rage machine. So on one hand, I do understand that the people would kind of react hysterically to Jen. And by the way, where did all those officers or, you know, tactical people, military-ish people come from all of a sudden? And wasn't the alarm a little dramatic, flashing red, and that it all seemed very dramatic for something that didn't need to be? And at least she, to me, wasn't the villain. Someone hacked into the program, and let me get off of that thing. But yeah, it's kind of like Jen does have to prove she's not her cousin. She is her own She-Hulk. She can control herself, and she's not completely out of control. So we'll see how that gets resolved, how that wraps up next week, and what I guess is the finale. And then of course in episode 9, we have to solve the mystery of who the Hulk King is. Like I said, if I would make a prediction, I would like him to have some more motivation, some relation to Jen, but I also get it, you know, like if it's to smear Jen, then she doesn't have to know him. But if he's trying to steal her blood on purpose, I feel like there has to be some kind of motivation for him to want to do this and becoming a Hulk too. So we shall see. I hope that gets resolved. Then I also wonder if this is gonna leave, at least in the credits, gonna leave, or post credits, however, set up something for another series. But I mean, of course, we've already got Daredevil series is set up. Whatever the Hulk is doing, him going back off to Sakaar, wherever that's set up. And then Matt Murdock had that kind of throwaway line like the Sokovia Accords are being appealed, not repealed. So they haven't been reversed. I don't know where the law stands, but someone, it seems like, is challenging the Accord. So maybe the MCU might want to explore that somewhere down the line about who's trying to have it repealed and all that good stuff. So they've set up a lot in this series already. I think they've done a tremendous job. I really have like very few criticisms, except, as you all know, we're coming to the end of another Marvel series. Penultimate episode to me is always brilliant, but can they stick the landing with She-Hulk? I'm really hoping that there's little room for them to fail, but we will just have to see next week. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys thought about this. Were you happy to see Matt Murdock? Were you expecting a romance between Matt Murdock and Jen? I wasn't. I'm happy. Ship it till the end. Be sure to subscribe for more so you'll know when our episode 9 review is coming out. And not only that, but we will be talking about Werewolf by Night because it's coming out basically now. So hopefully I shall have time to review it within the next couple of days. I am going home in a week, so I will not be here anymore. I'll be back in my home where I can do things exactly the way I want to do them. And then what's next on the agenda after She-Hulk? I mean, we got Wakanda Forever coming out, then Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday coming out. And I think that takes us to the end of the year for Marvel. Of course, with Star Wars, Andor's out. I will just, if I feel like talking about it. If you've seen my Andor stuff, you know how I feel about that. So I'm sorry that I have not been reviewing that weekly. It's just not good for me. So officially leaving it there, guys. Again, please subscribe for more, and I will see you in the finale video. Bye.